Hi. It's Saturday morning, about 10:30, and my boys have gone off and left me to have a great time sailing with Graham. So I thought, what better time to make sure my mic is working and go live again? And I feel like I'm going to do a little bit of watercolor play this morning. And so this is a reference that I've used a couple times. I taught a watercolor class last Tuesday, and this is the one I made before the class, kind of on my own, using this reference. And then this is the one that I made in the class. And there's parts about this one that I really love. I really love this leaf area down here. The rose is great. I mean, it's fine, but it's really hard to like draw while so many people are like watching you and you're doing a demo. But I really love the marks down here. And then, the leaf was a little wet, so the water flew out. But anyway, I'm going to do a little watercolor, kind of like this one. I like to use normally I'll just use like a little scrap piece of paper. You can see these are kind of cut wonky. It was playtime, so I just grabbed whatever, and I wasn't fully invested because I was just playing. I didn't care if the piece turned out or not, because I was just practicing my skill, and art is all about practice. So I was thinking for this one today, I would use one of these references. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe the Lotus. I really love these. But also the Blossom is good. Maybe I'll do both. Who knows? And I actually have like a full piece of paper this time. I thought, so this is Strathmore watercolor paper. It is the 400 series. Just a fun fact. It also cost me $4.49, if you can see that. And so I'm going to use that. And I think I'm going to try this Lotus flower as my reference. There we go. There's my reference. The materials I'm going to be using today is my trusty Micron 005 pen. It's upside down for you. I'm going to use my parallel pen, which is my absolute favorite pen. I will quite likely be using some art graph. And I have to thank Jenny Doe for this and this material. I took a sexy watercolor class with her, Art and Soul, in Portland. If you don't know what Art and Soul is, totally check it out. It's awesome. It's a mixed media art retreat. And anyway, so I took the sexy watercolor class with Jenny Doe, and she taught me about the beauty of the parallel pen and also art graph. And I don't have the sample, but anyway, I was going to show you what I made with Jenny Doe, but whatever. If you know me, as most of you do, you probably already seen it. I'm also going to use my trusty 1/4 inch flat Princeton brush. This is what I consider my watercolor brush. I use it for every watercolor that I do. And then I have a Stabilo 8046. It is a water soluble pencil. Let's see. And so sometimes I'll do like little tests with my materials to see what's going on with them. So like here's that Stabilo. Obviously I grabbed a piece of paper that I'd already worked on. So I'm going to do a little gradient. Kind of bring the water down till it's nothing. And I like the Stabilo because it's kind of this nice kind of cool neutral gray. It's like carbon black to a nice neutral gray. This will reactivate in water every time. And then the parallel pen, I just want to give you that contrast. It is a nice solid black, but when you add water, and I don't know, if you guys have talked to me at all about the parallel pen, you'll know I say this. And if you ever watched the videos I made for the Kickstarter I did, I talk about Payne's Gray all the time. It's like one of my favorite colors. But this parallel pen turns into this beautiful kind of purpley blue, in my opinion, Payne's Gray. And you can see the difference between this kind of more neutral black and then this ink. I know, actually, I just had this wild idea to get my Payne's Gray and see Well, whatever. We'll do that another time. We'll do a test of Payne's Gray versus acrylic paint versus parallel pen, because I swear that is Payne's Gray. Okay, anyway, back to business. So I am going to draw this reference, and I don't care about it looking exactly the same. I just want it to give the idea of a lotus flower. That's what it is, right? Lotus flower. So I think I'm going to do this flower and maybe this little bud, and then I might do some of the marks in the background. I'm not exactly sure. And I'm going to use few curved lines because I really like how the marks look when they're more like straight lines connected. Okay, so let's do this. I think I'm going to put it off center a little bit. I'm trying to tell you how I'm making these decisions because it's good practice for me to think through why I'm doing things, but also it might be interesting for you should you ever watch this video, because who is going to watch a live video at 10:30, 26 in the morning? I don't know. You guys are all probably off outside doing awesome things, but I so rarely have a day where I can guilt-free just hang out in the studio without worrying that I'm missing out on time with my family. They're off having fun with Graham, so I can just do this. Okay, so this is just going to be pen to paper. I'm not going to worry about it. No pressure. And I think I'm just going to kind of do the outside, maybe a little bit. So I have some of the petals here on the side. My pen is dying a little bit. Oh, my pen is totally dying. I'm going to have to find a new pen. Okay, oh, I gotta remember to talk to you while I'm drawing. That's another thing that I found is really hard about going live. I have to remember to speak to you. Of course, last time it didn't matter that I was talking, if I was talking or not, because I forgot to make sure the camera was on, or obviously the camera was on. I forgot to make sure that the mic was on. So all the things I said, no one got to hear but me and myself, kind of like this right now, which is cool. Whatever. Okay. I just have to remember to talk to you, but I have to think about this too. I have to think about these petals. Okay, I think this one is that one. Okay, we're gonna go in here. And I don't know if you've noticed, I'm not really trying to make it super realistic, right? I'm just trying to give the idea of this kind of lotus blossom. The color and everything that we put in later is gonna do a lot of that for me. I kind of want this one. Okay. And then we have its stem. Oh, goodness, I had like I was kind of trying to go in there, but not quite that far. And then I'm going to do this other little guy. This pen is, I don't have another small one near me. I don't want to take time. Well, whatever. We'll just make this work. It's like a make it work moment. Okay. So here is the bud. So we're just going to put these pieces in together. I'm actually just going to do this whole outside. And then we're going to make these petals work. There's like one little guy that's sticking out over here. He really wants to open. Okay, so there is my bud. And then we're just going to make the stem. And then I might make a few, we'll do maybe a few little marks here to identify the other leaves. Maybe there's like another one back here. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, don't sneeze. I'll bring another one in here with a little fold. And then maybe we'll see what happens. This is just our playtime, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so that is all I'm going to do with the micron pen. Micron pens will not activate in water. They are, I don't know, whatever makes them. They're archival ink. They're acid-free, which is super fun. And they're a micropigment ink for waterproof and fade-proof. fine lines. You know, you can tell you're getting old when you're like, oh, that is really small font. Okay, so I'm going to need my brush and my beautiful and amazing watercolor pen. And or watercolor, my parallel pen, if I remember what it's called. So now I'm just going to add some black, and I don't really care where I might try to challenge it to where I kind of see like there's some dark areas right here along the stem, here along these petal lines, and then of course in some of this background. I just want to make, there's even a little bit right here. I just want to make some kind of cool black marks. See, you know, I did a little bit here, here, down the stem, over here, and it just, I dig it. I feel like it gives it like a looseness and a freedom, and I really like that kind of more impressionistic, whatever. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure my pen is working. I like literally just made some marks a second ago. Okay, although this one might be getting low on ink anyway, because we'll do a little up here. I'm gonna bring it down. Look, I'm bringing it down the opposite side. Whatever. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do like some light here, maybe a little bit right here, and some more. And then I'd like a little up here, here, and maybe around over here at the bottom. Sorry, I'm left-handed, so I might accidentally block the piece with my hand. Oh, I smudged it! But you know what? That's okay. Because I'm left-handed, I totally smudged it because I do this thing. Oh my gosh, you'd think I'd know after all of the years I've lived on the earth. I am left-handed, so I should work with wet media from upper right to lower left. But I don't do that. I work, sometimes I'll start in the lower left and I'm like, Powers, what are you doing? You are left-handed. Okay. Sorry if I'm really loud. My mouth is like really close to this camera, so you might have had to have turned me down already. Turn down the volume. Okay, so see, I almost started down here because that's where I want to start. Luckily, I didn't start over here because I need to wait, let that wait a minute. Okay, so I'm going to start over here. And what I like to do is I like to take a wet, can you see him? Okay, this is like, I think this was guacamole a long time ago. I like to take my wet brush and walk it up to the ink for two reasons. One, I like to give the ink someplace to wick to. So if I put water here, when this gets wet, it's going to be like, hey, I want to travel in some water, and it's going to find some water to travel into. And so I've given it kind of a path to go to. And I'm going to try not to tell it where to go too much. I'm just going to do a little bit of fussing, but not a lot, because if I want it to go somewhere else, I'll just add more water and see how I was able to pull that down without actually touching the ink. Ooh, except I touched this ink. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll get this down here and tell him where to go. Or I don't know why I gendered it. Tell this ink where to go. Sometimes I do that. Anyway, so that kind of pulled that down. And there's a little bit, there's like a little pocket of dry spot right there, and I'm going to leave that alone because I want it to have a little white spot there. Maybe it will rest my viewers' eyes. My viewers are smart, sophisticated individuals that can take a look at what I'm producing and, you know that I'm doing a lotus flower. I want to give them the opportunity to walk into this piece and decide, sorry, I sat outside drinking my coffee this morning, and I haven't ever realized that I was so allergy prone, so now I'm like kind of sniffly, so I apologize if that gets on your nerves. And I also apologize if you didn't notice it, and now that I mentioned it, you're going to notice it completely. Okay, so we're pulling this out a little more, and then we're going to do this one. And then no, actually, I'm sorry, I was just thinking while I was talking, like, if this one turns out good, maybe I'll share it to the rest of my page instead of just the people who have joined this little safe group. So I started this art group on my page so that I could go live and do things in a kind of safe, terror-free environment. And And so I really appreciate the fact that I have this ability to go live in a safe and terror-free environment. And there are like 8 of you in this group so far. And I think if it goes well and I feel comfortable, I will share this to the rest of my page, depending on how long, well, whatever. I might do that. But then I have to figure out how to caption live videos. So if anyone knows how to do that, let me know. Because my friend and coworker, Joanne Ho, always talks about how people don't caption their videos. And I want to be inclusive for many reasons, in many different ways. I'm just going to try to get that back in there. And I think captioning my videos is a really great idea. I just am new at this, so oh God, that's a lot. Okay, but we're not judging. That thing, oh my goodness, my nose. The thing about this is to not panic, not judge. You can fix everything. Everything you do, you can totally fix it. And I was just thinking this second that going live is kind of fun, because I mean it's a safe environment and no one is watching, which is also fine. But I kind of like talking through this and letting you see what's going on. This is a lot of dark, but that's okay. Okay. So I'm just going to make sure that I've got everything I wanted activated. I think I want a little more. I haven't done anything with the leaves here. I'm going to let this rest and kind of let it dry a bit. And then we'll see. And then I think I'm going to get my parallel pen and add a little bit more, add a little bit of shadow down here. I'm not going to do anything with the background yet because I think I'll be using the art graph, this guy, and this non-animate object. And then also, I didn't even tell you that I'm using these Prima watercolor tins. I really, okay, thanks to Beth Hackett. I drew this line all around where my camera is to help me keep everything in focus, or not in focus, but like in screen. So I'll move this up. Anyway, I'm using these Prima watercolor tins. I bought them when I was at, ooh, don't set it on that. I bought them when I was at Art and Soul because I needed some watercolor. I only brought gouache, and these are really awesome. I have tropical, which are these colors. This one is one of my favorites. I love orange, if you know me, and I love that one. And then, I mean, I like them all, but I love that one in particular. And then I have the classics, which is just like, you know, classic colors. Bunch of browns and grays and like your regular colors. Anyway, and then also I have some gouache in case I decide I need a little bit of white. I have a whole set of this, but I love this little sample set that came with the Art Snack gift that Atom got me for Christmas. These guys are so pigmented. Like you just need like the teeniest bit and it goes for days. So we might be using that later. Anyway, back to what I was doing. Okay, so I'm going to put a little, I want to kind of build some shadows in this little area down here, maybe a little bit right there, and then kind of around this leaf. Okay, so let's see what we've got. And now the parallel pen is going to reactivate in water if I don't get enough of it wet. And now it's going to reactivate even if I do get all of it wet, but it's not quite as reactive when it hasn't been activated at all. So this little bit that I'm kind of moving around should be enough to keep it kind of staying still when I start adding the other stuff. But it will not stay still completely, and I need to be comfortable with that, and I am. So nobody panic. That's a lot. Okay, let's just push that down a little bit more. Okay, so there we go. I think this is a good starting point. We have all of the kind of dark shadows that we want for now. I think it looks good. I like it. This is a little, oh, sorry, autofocusing. This is a little darker than, this bud is a little darker. But I mean, it's darker here too, so maybe it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't know why I said maybe. because I am all about trusting the process. Okay, so we're going to get our Prima watercolor now. I've been kind of letting this rest because I want it to be a little bit dry. And now you might be thinking, Danielle, just get your heat gun, dry that baby up. You know, I prefer to let the watercolors dry on their own for two reasons. One, if you use an okay amount of water, they'll typically dry pretty fast. Fast enough, not as fast as acrylic, but fast enough. And if you use a heat gun, sometimes you'll get an extra line kind of where you don't want it. It's like this, I was dried with watercolor puddle line. Or I was dried with watercolor. I was dried with a heat gun puddle line. And I don't know. I don't know that that is what I'm looking for here. I have used heat guns. I will continue to use them. I actually really love using them with acrylic because because why? Because okay, people are always like, don't use your acrylics too much because it'll make them bubble. I love that. I find that super cool. Okay, so I'm getting, oh, and I told you I love this one, but I'm using this one, number 19. You might say, what color is that? I don't know, number 19. It's kind of a nice pink, super vibrant. Kind of set it over here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm doing wet to dry, well, dry-ish, and I think I'm going to just start adding a little bit of color where I want it to be. And I already loaded up my paintbrush, so I have to kind of just be with this. Okay, so I'm going to put the color down. I don't want to play with it too much. I just kind of want to let it be. What I would have liked to do is get it wet first, so that the paint knows where to go. Where do you want me to walk? It says. I would like you to walk over here into this. So I'm just going to kind of bring, oh, there it is. Just going to kind of, and then once it's wet, what I like to do is to just touch it, because it creates this beautiful fusion. Once that's dry, you are going to, well, I think that it's just this beautiful, beautiful movement. And because I've left this totally dry, there's kind of an interesting little play here where that completely dry, like white spot was, and you can see there's a couple more over here and there, and then I'll kind of use those. And I'm not trying to tell my viewer, you know, that this whole thing is pink. I'm just trying to give like a little bit of information about it. You know, some of these are a little bit darker, so I might, now you can see this was still wet, so this pink kind of walked into that black, and I'm okay with that because I was going to bring some pink over here anyway, and it is going to move. It's going to do what it wants to do because it does what it wants, and I'm okay with that because I like to do what I want. And actually, if you're in, I was in a workshop the other day with my friend Lori. Wendy McWilliams was there, and she, the feel of the class, at least what I kept saying, is I do what I want. Okay, so if you get a lot of water and you're kind of worried about the puddle, you can just like set the brush in and wick a little bit of that water away. And so I'll do that sometimes. I'm not actually adding anything at the moment. I'm just taking away. Just taking away. If I move a little bit, the paint a little bit where I want it, that's fine too. I think I want to get some more wet down first. So I'm just going to wet some of these areas. And if it happens to move some of the parallel pen ink around, I am okay with that. I am, and you know, and my brush wasn't completely clean, so it is also laying down some stuff for me. And so now I'm just going to get some of this number 19, and then I'm just going to touch it in where I want it to be. Just little touches here and there where I had it wet. And then I'll go back and you know, maybe make some decisions if I am not super pleased with what it's doing on its own, because my paint has a mind of its own and I am all right if it uses it. Actually, it might. might just let this dry and see what happens. Let's get this brush kind of clean. I might want to tell it a little bit of information here. Just kind of bring the water around to tell it what to do. Like go this way a little bit. And then this one I actually popped it down on some dry, so I'm going to inform it that it can travel up here a little bit. You know, one thing I do kind of need to know is when is a good time to go live? Is it super late? Is it early? I mean, obviously I didn't expect anyone to be in their house hanging out, waiting for kind of a live session today because it's like 10 o'clock on a Saturday. Everyone should be off doing their family activities, right? The stuff you don't get to do during the week, 'cause you have day jobs, if you have a day job. And I don't know if you noticed, like I'm trying not to actually got quite a bit over here. I'm trying not to overwork any one area or any one stroke. Where's my towel? There it is. Oh, towel. I want to get some of this back out. Okay. So now I'm going to add some green. And both the classic and the tropical have a light green. These are actually different. This is more of a darker olive and this is more of a fluorescent lime. And then they have this, the tropical has this darker green, number 18. I really like number 16 and number 18 together when I'm doing leaves. I kind of already have a little bit, oh, right here. Right here. I'm going to grab a little bit more of each and kind of mix it back in so I can get a little bit. Actually, this might work if I just mix these two together. That's good. Okay. I kind of like a muted green. Stop loading your brush. Get your stuff wet first. Okay. So I'm going to just get a little bit of this wet. Just a little. And I'm just going to touch it in. Just touch, touch, touch. Let it go. Let it do what it wants to do. It does what it wants. And then a little more touches. And then I kind of want to bring this down. My stem, sorry, I forgot to talk again. And then I might even bring, let me get some of this. I might even bring a little few touches over here. And even if I look, there's the littlest bit like here into the bottom leaves. Still pretty wet up there. And then we're just going to tell this leaf that you're going to be a little bit green too. And now what can we do is we let this rest. Are we going to let it rest? Should we let it rest? Do we want to see anything else? I feel like there could be a little bit of parallel pen right here. Or maybe Stabilo. Let's see. Do we like that? We'll just get our little Stabilo. And maybe I want a little bit. And this is wet paper, so it is going to kind of inform the Stabilo that it should be wet. Let's see, do we like that? Oh, there was some green on my brush still. That's cool. Okay, I mean, I kind of like that. And then maybe over here, there needs to be a little something. Just a little something to help cause some differences. Okay, does it look like a lotus flower? Do we like it? Actually, I'm not mad about this. Not at all. I think it looks all right. Okay, so I'm going to do some background stuff. And if you look at the back, I'm going to get green all over my finger. If you look at the background for this one, it is, you know, a little bit of blue because there's water, the leaves. So I think I'm going to use some of the blue, probably number 15 here, or maybe number 23. Maybe try to use 23. And then maybe number 18 to kind of bring up some background. And again, I am not really worried about exactly what it looks like. If I touch what I've been doing and it gets into the background, I am okay with that. I am okay with that. So we're going to grab some number 23. And I'm just going to start touching it in. Let it have some fun. Let it wick around. Let it do what it wants to do. And I'll just add some more water. So this is going to get pretty wet. I really want it to just like flow around and do what it wants to do. Do what you want, number 23. Do what you want. Okay, so we're kind of bringing this around. I'm going to make sure I get a little bit over here. Again, I'm not really worried if it touches. I just want to make it look like, why is this over here? Let my water tell it where to go. Maybe get some green. And then now, sometimes when we judge our work, we start to judge it too soon. Like if I judge this right now, I'm like, oh, there's so much water. You know, these marks don't make, you know, aren't making a lot of sense. This piece is going to look completely different when it's dry. Or completely different. It will look different when it's dry, and I will feel differently about it. I would say when you're working on a piece, if it starts to go sideways, you know, this starts to happen. I don't know if you could tell I touched the lotus flower, so some of the pink and black popped down into the blue here. You know, if I feel like that isn't good, oh, see, it happened again right here. I'm not going to worry about it right now, because when it dries, I will be able to fix it. Or it might look great and I might be totally okay with it. So I might decide that I want to keep it like that. So I'm just going to let it be and let it do what it wants to do. Just let it be. And I'm not going to do a ton of blue over here. I'm not trying to fill the whole space. I might add a little bit just to inform, you know, this area. Got a little bit of leakage over here too. And that's okay. I'm going to move this out of the way now. I'm not super worried about it because it will be fine. It's all going to work out at the end. Now, if I didn't want to wait a ton of time for it to dry because you know, this is live and I don't have it on my face, the camera on my face, and I don't want you to, I don't know, be bored. So I'm not going to let it dry yet. Or, you know, I'm not trying to stop and let it dry. So I'm just going to let this go. And really, now I just need to let it dry. And I'm going to feel differently about it once it is dry. So what will we do while we're waiting for it to dry? Let's do, I don't know, maybe we'll stop and I'll post it for you later. What might I do with it? You know, honestly, I really like this. My feelings about it change as the minutes go by. I think that's going to be it for this live session. We've gone for about 30 minutes. And I'm going to go research how to caption live video, and it may involve me listening to myself talk over and over and over again so I can type what I've said, but that, oh, that sounds alarming. But I want, I want to include caption. Okay, so this piece is done. I'm going to scan. Once it's dry, I might do a couple finishing touches. I do like to tap on some dots. You can see like this one I tapped on. Can you see that? I tapped on some dots. Let's see. This one definitely, you can see I did that a little bit. This one was still wet when I did it. But there's some dots. So once it's completely dry, I might add some black or white speckles just to give a little bit more movement. And actually, you see, as this is drying, the pink here that came out, I don't know, I think it adds something to the background. Far too often we immediately judge our work and are like, oh, this is bad, this doesn't work, it's not good. But you get some really magical things when you just kind of play around and let the paint do what it wants to do. I was just tilting to get some of this blue to shift a little bit, but some of it wants to be right where it is, so I might just let it stay. All right, I'm gonna go, and once this is dry, I might do a couple finishing touches, and then I will scan this and post it. And if you like the video and you watch it, let me know. The first person who has advice on captioning, sorry, I didn't mean to shake the table. But also, if anyone is interested, this piece will be available to the first person, if you want it, to the first person who tells me that, let's see, I don't know, if you watch the end of the video, then I guess you'll get it. I don't know, the secret code word is lamination bags. So the first person who says that can have this piece if you want it. I mean, if you don't, then that's fine. Okay, I am signing off, and there'll be more for this piece. There'll be more about this piece later. Ciao. I don't know why I said ciao. I never say ciao. That's super weird. Cheers is more like it. Anyway, bye.